Okay, last time what we did was we went into our Google shared document, and then we clicked File, and then we clicked Make a Copy, and we changed the name of the file. In this case, we're going to do Elastic Collisions, and then we're going to put our team name. If I click Share, that shares with all my members, and then I click OK. Then I get a new file that it has the new name, and that'll automatically be shared in my Google Drive. So I'm going to go in and start selecting cells and typing in the labels. In our simulation, we had a red block and a blue block, and we're focusing on the initial conditions and the final conditions. And so we have, once we get red block, blue block for both initial and final, we're going to enter in the values that we used in the simulator. And so remember that velocity is the distance over time, so I'm going to enter in the distance and the time. And in this case, our distance over time, the time was always 1 second. Once I enter those values in, I'm going to enter into a formula into the spreadsheet that will automatically calculate that. So remember that if what I want to do is select the cell that my velocity is calculated in, and remember that is the distance, which is located in this cell, divided by the value of time. So its distance over time is what velocity is. And notice that when I select the cells, the formula has equals one cell divided by the other. And it'll automatically calculate it if I change these values. So I do the same thing here. I hit the equal sign, this cell divided by this cell, and plug it in. And then we have the mass. We have an initial mass. Well, the mass doesn't change, truthfully. But we have the mass of the object in both cases. And now to find the momentum, remember that the momentum is the mass times the velocity, or this cell times this cell. When I'm done, I hit enter. And then for the blue block, I'm going to click on the cell, and I'm going to hit the equals. That puts it in formula mode, and do the mass times the velocity. And so if I went a little too fast, let's try that again with the kinetic energy. And remember, the kinetic energy is 0.5 times the mass times the velocity squared. And when we say velocity squared, it's that cell caret to the 2, right? Just like you would enter it in your calculator. Highlight this cell, 0.5 times this cell. Oops, hit the wrong button. 0.5 times this cell squared. Alright? And then what it does is basically I'm just going to put in the number of values for distance and time and mass, and then the spreadsheet calculates everything else for me. So we're going to just kind of repeat. I'm going to enter in the values that I had here for my final velocities, which is my final distance over time. Again, the time is going to be 1 here. It isn't in every case, but because we use the simulator, that's how the simulator spits the information out. Once I enter that data in, I'm going to re-enter the formulas into the corresponding cells. So give me 1 second here. Let me plug this in. And then what we're going to do is we hit equals this cell divided by this. Again, hit the equal sign, puts me in formula mode. This cell divided by this. And we enter in the mass, which is the same as before. And then our formula for momentum, I hit equals, which puts me in formula mode. That cell times that. Equals puts me in formula mode. This cell times this cell. Hit enter. And again, I'm going to put in the formula for kinetic energy. So I click on this cell. And but now that I think about it, that should be a positive because the momentum should be conserved. So we'll double check that. And then anyways, put an equal sign. Oops, equals. Nope, it doesn't like that. See, it'll highlight in white, and notice that it hasn't highlighted in white. So I'm going to click again. There it is. Equals 0.5 times this cell, which is the mass, times the velocity squared. And again, we have 1/2 times the mass times the velocity squared. So now that I've got one sheet done, I'm going to name this as trial 1. So if I click here, click rename, type in trial 1. That's my data for trial 1. Click here again and click duplicate. It'll automatically duplicate that. All the formulas will work, but I'm going to rename this to trial 2. So you're going to set that up and enter in different values. In fact, I can enter in the values for the second trial. Notice that the only thing I have to enter in is the velocities and the new masses. And again here, the velocities and the new masses, which is really just the distances. And the spreadsheet does the rest of the work. And so we're going to repeat that process till we have 10 trials of elastic and 10 trials of inelastic. And that's pretty much it. That's all you need to do.